بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا، وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا، إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. أسأل الله تبارك وتعالى أن يجعل نياتنا خالصة لوجهه الكريم. I praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I thank Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala, and I ask Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala to send countless blessings and salutations upon our Master Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, his family, his companions, and all those who follow them in excellence until the day of judgment. And I ask Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala to grant us sincere and noble intentions. I pray that all of you are doing well. May Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala grant you all al-afiyah, well-being, and gentleness, and facilitate for you all the routes of good. I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about our upcoming Islamic Unity Conference that will be held here in Atlantic City, New Jersey from July 11th to July the 14th. It's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And encourage you, inshallah tabaraka wa ta'ala, to attend this historic gathering that is really needed in our Muslim communities. It is always a benefit when we come together to do good. As Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, وَفَعَلُوا الْخَيْرَ لَعَلَّكُمْ تُفْلِحُونَ, that you should do all that is good in order that you would be successful. And in the terms of unity, Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala told us in several verses things that mean that we should work together and cooperate. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَاطَّصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا, and hold on together as one entity to the rope of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala, which can have many meanings, among them holding on to the book of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. And likewise, when we hold on to the book of Allah, we hold on to the sunnah of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam and the community of Muslims. and never separate. And Allah told us about the Muslim nation, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةٌ, that the believers are nothing but brethren, brothers and sisters. And there is a protection when we come together as one group. As Allah said, يَدَ اللَّهِ فَوْقَ الْجَمَاعَةِ, that the protection of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala is over the Muslim group. These and many other sayings of the pious talk about the importance of coming together. التعاون على البر والتقوى, assisting and aiding one another in piety and righteousness. So what is this Islamic Unity Conference? It is the coming together of living levels of our Muslim community, our elders, our imams and teachers and leaders that are active in our time, and those future generations of Muslims who inherit what we leave. I think it's extremely important to connect all of these sections of our communities, especially the elders, or I like to say, our Muslim sages within our community, that we connect to their wisdoms and experiences, which to me are the most important aspects of a gathering, that we're those who have experienced and lived all which you're striving to do, that you gather with them and you have absorbed their wisdoms and experiences so that you could have an easier route to success in your endeavors. And we should not be a foolish people who don't learn from the wisdom of our elders and their experience. So that is the first 2 days of the conference, the 11th and the 12th, will focus heavily on where we've been as a community and what were some of the positive, beneficial things that we did as a community that we're missing today, and how that was accomplished and what we need to do to revive it. Oftentimes, we have discussions about the good old days and what we used to be like sometimes as a community. But sometimes we fall short of reviving a lost spirit amongst us. And what our hope is that by connecting with our elders, as I said, our wise sages, and talking to them, that we would have a spirit of revival among us to continue the work. And that is a wisdom that some of the pious they mention. And it's talking about looking at where you're at in life and considering the fact of what you have achieved in relation to those who have less than you. And that is especially in worldly matters, so that you would never forget the favors and endowments of Allah wa ta'ala upon you. But in terms of religious matters, you should look toward those who have accomplished more than you did. So you would aspire to be more engaged in climbing the levels of excellence in your religious practice. And I think if we look back, I know if we look back at some of the early communities of Muslims among us, we will find a lot of things that we need to revive, while not forgetting the beneficial steps we made in terms of knowledge and uh, relationships that we may have around the world. All of that is beneficial, and we should be thankful for that. But we also should pick up those areas where we're falling short. And one of them that existed, especially in the Black Muslim community in our earlier days, was the concept of a village. And we call it communities, but really that community served as a fortified village where everyone felt a connection to the other. That's missing today. I think about it a lot. And it's really some of the driving forces, but among the driving forces that keep me going, the desire to revive that. Like true concern for one another. And beyond concern, a true love for one another. Not just I say, I love you for the sake of Allah, but it's really practical. You feel it. You know, we've become so harsh toward one another to the point that our hearts seem wax cold. That's not reality, but that's how it sometimes seems. It's because as long as you have Iman in your heart, there is some softness there. It's when Iman completely leaves your heart that it's become wax cold. But sometimes the way we deal with one another, we seem to miss the element of true love for one another. And gatherings like this conference would put us in a space where we have the opportunity to inspire one another that love is not lost. When you see a gathering of us coming together for good, the natural state of the heart is to aspire to strengthen that. It feels good. And I really believe in our communities, that village concept where you feel the love from the village, the protection from the village, from its elders, from its middle-aged people, from its youth, even from its babies. When you feel that, it helps you strive in a progressive manner towards excellence, which we need to constantly be striving of. It's just things that I think about a lot. You know, sometimes I come in the masjid and I see the complacency that we can have, as if, yeah, when I remember when I was a kid, you came to the masjid and you always felt energized, right? And I guess because Islam was new for us, it was like always an adventure. But as long as we continue to learn and strive and worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it still remains an adventure, because every level of our practice opens up more doors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's divine giving. And as Allah gives you, then there is an adventure there. You cannot enumerate the gifts and the endowments and the favors of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala upon you, and the joy that is contained in every one of those endowments when you reflect upon them, right? So being around each other gives us access to the divine giving and the gifts of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that pours down on the group. So I think just that alone is an important reason to have these gatherings, in addition to the wisdoms and experience of our elders. So we're going to talk about, during this conference, this concept of unifying to restore our village. And that village may have to happen in terms of a long distance relationship. Give me 1 second, please. Yeah, so I meant the village may be built now, by way of long distance relationships. Why do I say that? Because if we look across the country, there are pockets of the village. And maybe in one given place, there's not enough people to get that feeling. But when each pocket comes together and connects with other pockets around the country, you can produce that village you need, even if it's not local, but collectively, it could be nationally that you could do it. So bringing all of the speakers from various parts of the country, working together with their communities and their smaller village to make that bigger village. I think that's important. And it may be the route, you know. We may not have one concentrated area where that happens, but collectively we produce a spirit among us that leads to that. And these are just my scattered thoughts about it. I'm going to, over the next month, as we get closer, really hone in on the particular subject matter and topics that are going to be covered during the convention. Uh, but I wanted to just give us some insight into some of the thought that went behind this conference. Another point that I want to mention is, what do we intend by Islamic Unity Conference? Someone asked me that. Like, what does unity look like? And I think some of the things we should look for among unity is not uniformity, not we're all going to be exactly the same. That's not what is intended. Rather, we should look for collective cooperation in areas where we can cooperate. That's what we should find. That we collectively cooperate in areas that we can work together. Areas that we have a shared interest. There's always going to be a reason to differ. It's the nature of human beings. We will find a way to differ. That's just study human history. People will find a way to differ, disagree, fight, and either destroy one another if given the opportunity. But there's always, shared interests that we have that we could cooperate on to bring about some good. And as Muslims, we're always looking what? To bring about good. So as Muslims, even though we may have different approaches, different ideas, and different views, that doesn't mean we don't have shared things that we all can benefit from. I think we should build our unity around those things, right? And what does it not mean also? It doesn't mean because we want to unify that we ignore issues that we may differ on. We may even discuss our areas of disagreement in a way that doesn't prevent us from cooperating in our shared interests. That's the challenge of human existence, to be able to live in harmony despite your differences. This is important. I was reflecting on the life of non-Muslims, Christians and Jews, during the time of Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, when he was the Khalifa. It is mentioned that even the Christians and Jews lived comfortably under his rulership. That in their history, there was always fighting and different things, but under his leadership, they lived in prosperity, even in the Muslim state, and they weren't Muslims. So I was thinking about that. I said, so if this is happening with Sayyidina Umar, and non-Muslims are comfortable in his village under his leadership, how we as Muslims cannot cooperate with one another to give a similar sense of security and comfort for one another. I was really thinking about that. And I think we need to strive for that. There's not going to be every single individual want to do that. You just got to find good people who want to accomplish that. And you got to cooperate with those good people who have goodwill for others. And inshallah ta'ala, this conference will be an opening to that. Inshallah, over the next few weeks, we're going to be bringing on some of the presenters and speakers to share some of their thoughts about the importance of this unity conference. So I ask all of you to do a few things. Number one, the flyer is on our Facebook page, on our website. We have the link to register. You yourself, if you are able to attend, please register. Like, register now, right? Because your attendance is extremely important to bring about the result we want. And if you're not able to attend, please put this as a daily post for you. Takes a few seconds to post a flyer and say, please share, please attend. Doesn't take much, right? And if you don't have the high aspiration to do it daily, do it weekly as a weekly reminder, right? Share it with your friends. So let's make this a successful gathering. And for others, even if you cannot attend, but you have the means to support someone else's attendance or a few people's attendance, you can donate general admission tickets for some, because you have sometimes people who want to attend, but they are not in the financial position to buy a ticket. So maybe by some of us supporting that effort, knowing we could attend, or we have the means to attend, but we can't for whatever reason, that we support someone else And this is part of cooperating within our village. So I ask Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala to make this event a successful one and make it beneficial. Uh, Lastly, in closing for this post-Fajr reflections on this conference, I remind you tonight is Tuesday night, and at 7 o'clock we start the Black Imams Roundtable uh, with Imam Naeem Abdullah and Imam Fahim Lee. We may have a special guest tonight. I'm not sure. But we had one scheduled, but I don't know if it's confirmed. Inshallah, tabarak wa ta'ala, you will all join us tonight at 7 o'clock for the Black Imams Roundtable. And likewise, I remind you that every Saturday and Sunday, we are covering this text of the Ihya Ulumuddin. We're back to having our reader again. So those who didn't get the book, there is the link for the book. And we're doing that every Saturday morning and Sunday morning at 7:30. And inshallah, we're going to have some night classes, most likely after the time of Isha. I'm still working on that. So inshallah, tabarak wa ta'ala, there are some things. The Ohio is the 25th, Saturday, May 25th. And likewise, the Newark gathering is May 25th too. So Imam Naeem and Imam Fahim will be in Columbus, Ohio, and I will be in Newark, New Jersey. So we're going to be doing the Creed of At-Tahawi in both places, but I'm going to be in Newark, New Jersey, and they will be in Columbus, Ohio. As for the flyers, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Inshallah, we'll put them up tonight or tomorrow. Make dua for us. We are really overwhelmed. Subhanallah. Especially myself with my change in my family. It's really, really, really been rough to be free. Inshallah, tabarak wa ta'ala, Allah makes it easy. No, there's no base of knowledge. Anyone can come. Start where you are. You know, don't think you Deen, sometimes religion, you benefit just from the gaze of a teacher to you or you to a teacher. A word, you benefit from. I remember when I first started my studies, I didn't understand Arabic well. And I used to go to attend lessons. They were all in Arabic. I probably understood 15% of what was being said. But I used to always go. And a point came, I was understanding like the majority of the lesson just by attending regularly. Kept attending, kept attending. And it just one day it just clicked, right? And even today, as I sit and read books or review stuff or listen to, lessons of my teachers, and I be saying to myself, wow, I remember I didn't understand none of this stuff. And Allah gave me an opening. And that's the same way it will happen with you. Just attend the lessons. There is a secret in that attendance. There's a secret in those gatherings. You'll get some, then later on you'll get more, then you'll get more. And it'll kick in. The important thing is to be present with your body and your heart. As one of my teachers said, when knowledge or speech comes from the heart, it reaches the heart. It doesn't need an interpreter. And inshallah, we pray that Allah makes us sincere and inshallah will be a great benefit. Okay, inshallah, I'm going to pause. I got work to do. But please, whoever doesn't have the book, this is what we're doing on the weekends, so you have time to get it. And please share the flyer for the conference, inshallah, tabarak wa ta'ala. Oh, I forgot. I'm sorry. Here is after you register, there is discounted hotel. And this is where it's at the convention itself. If you call that number and give them that code for the Islamic Unity Conference, the hotel rates are discounted for those days of the conference, which if you don't if you try to register, like get a hotel during the time of the event, it's going to be almost triple the price because we're talking July. So I would advise everyone who intends to come to register and book your hotel, right? And that is the link for it. Please make sure you do that. Don't wait, because this is Atlantic City and it's summertime. So you're talking about $1,700 for those rooms if you wait to that time. So do yourself a favor. Even the cheap hotels are going to be expensive. And this is right at the convention. Parking, we have space that's free parking. So I would advise you to go ahead and take advantage of that. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala facilitate for you. Inshallah, we'll see you tonight on the Black Imams Round Table. Barakallahu bikum wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.